Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Now, when it comes to this corner of the Internet, credit card, YouTube, there is one complaint that I see over and over again that reigns supreme, and that is, man, you guys are just shills for the top credit cards, and that's all you ever talk about. And you know what? You're kind of right. You definitely have a point. So in this episode, I thought it would be fun to take a look at this complaint or criticism from the viewer perspective, the host perspective, and give you my opinions as somewhat of a failed credit card shill, if you will. So of course, if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now, a few things here, quick disclosures. Again, technically, I still am a part of a credit card affiliate program, meaning the Cardonomics one. That's the Sebi and Mandy one. I only have Capital One links left. We'll kind of talk about that. And I haven't sold a credit card in well over a year. Maybe some referrals on the second channel, but no affiliate links, sadly. So, disclosure aside there. The other one is, again, this is one person's opinion and experience on it. So other people may have different deals, different experiences, things of that nature. Just be aware of that. So, as I said, when I look around topics, I try to stay pretty locked into what's going on Reddit, which may be good, may be bad. But one thing that always comes up is you guys are just paid shills. And I have no shame. If I see a Reddit thread in credit cards or something, or banking, and even remotely talking about YouTube, I definitely click in there to see, like, oh, what are they saying about me? I will definitely do that every time. I have no shame in it. But this always comes up, and as a viewer and as a host, I think you have a valid point. Yes, so from the top, when they say shilling for credit cards, well, we mean trying to consistently sell credit cards, which would be, at the time of taping, I mean, this is probably past since you're watching this now, but the Sapphire Reserve has a high offer right now, so you'll be inundated with Sapphire Reserve offers or videos. Like, is the Sapphire Reserve good in 2026? Well, I mean, it hasn't changed from 2025's refresh, so that answer still applies, but you'll see videos just like that, and you'll see them on TikTok and Instagram and things of that nature, people trying to get you to sign up for it. That's the shilling fees. That's what people are really annoyed about. So from the top, what we're talking about is being a part of an affiliate marketing program. Because if you're going to do this, really what you do is you sign up for with an intermediary. So no one's paid directly by Chase or Amex that I know of. I'm sure someone might be, but usually here on YouTube, you see folks going through intermediaries, right? So in my experience, it is, when I first got into it or tried to get into it, it was a few years back, and it was Red Ventures or RV. They own Bankrate, who owns TPG. And so they have access to all the affiliate links. So I wanted the links because, of course, you're on credit card YouTube. You get links, right? So I sat down and just searching and finally stumbled upon their page. And then you can submit an intake form. And the first time someone reached out to me, sent me some documentation to read. And then that was it. We never went any farther than that. They just kind of like ignored me. Looking back on it, it was like likely because I was not nearly that big. I'm not really that big now, but that was it. So then I kind of let it go. But then you see your peers do videos of like, look how much money I made and things like that. And, you know, I think it was a Mark Plymail video, who's since come and gone from the business from what I can tell, but he made like 60 grand from it. I was like, dang, I guess I gotta care. So I tried to get back in the program. This time I didn't even get the documentation. They just ignored me. So I let it go. I had reached out to another guy, just going through peers' pages and talking to some folks through Discord. I think it was like Scott Smiles or something. I can't remember the guy's name. But anyhow, he had asked me, he was much more talkative and receptive, but he'd asked me, this was a time where like the Chase Ink cards were going off for the 900s in the very beginning of that time. They've done it a few times for like the first cycle through. He said, well, you know, how many of your referral links have you sold? And I was like, I mean, like one or two. And he was like, well, you know, I would expect you to have sold out of those before you come to us looking for links. And I was like, look, you know, I don't really want to sell cards. I just want to have the links in case someone asks, and I can put them in the descriptions, and maybe someone uses them and get a few bucks. Cool. And his point was like, no, we're looking for about 10 sales a month. So come back when you do that. And I told him, I'm just going to pass because I don't really want to do all that. And then that was the end of it. Later on, the Cardonomics thing popped up, and I joined that one. And that one was cool for a while. I think I made about like $5,000 or so in affiliate links. And then we lost most of those links from what I understand, it was the issuers again say, hey, look, we're not going to keep doing compliance and stuff on folks who aren't bringing in money. So if you're not getting a bunch of sales, well, you're out. And we'll kind of talk about that a little bit. So that's where we end at right now. That's like my speed run version of my experience. So I do want to spend a little more time on why I wanted the links, and then I'll go through, I just kind of jotted down some questions that I see or claims, and then I'll just give the claim and give my thoughts on it, and then we can discuss down below. So I wanted the links, as I said, not to beat you over the head and get you to buy Sapphire cards. I wanted them because we're on YouTube. There's only so many different ways that make sense to make money in this space. And by that, I mean, when you see ad reads, someone does like an ad read, I'm like, hey, we're going to take a minute to thank the sponsor for iPad. Like, the iPad would never pay me money to talk about iPads on this show, but you get the point. iPad has nothing to do with this topic. So it's a weird ad integration. So one of the only things you can really sell organically is banking products like credit cards. And so I wanted them. I wanted to have them in case anyone needed them. I built out that whole web page on my website for credit cards, and I thought it was really cool to just have the links and people could go there and get them. Referral programs are very nice, but I don't have referral links to every card, obviously. And issuers have also made it so referral links go bad after a few clicks or a few uses, so you can't do exactly what I'm doing, just put them on the website and leave them there. These affiliate links, they take you to a landing page, but then it's controlled by the affiliate. They update the terminology, the wording, the offer, all that. All I have to do is set the link behind the little image, and on occasion I'd have to update the card art, and that'd be it. So it took me about a day to build out that page, give or take, get it just right. And then after that, it's fine. It's just, it's out there. I make some money, maybe I don't, whatever. But again, these guys want sales. And the reason I felt that way is because when you really look at it, I think it's hard to sell here because everyone has these cards and everyone knows about these cards already. So like really you're selling to a larger audience. But the problem is when you go out and speak to a larger audience, well, then you're ignoring your core audience who's already heard this stuff before and doesn't care. So it's a weird balancing act. I thought there's enough people pushing cards, much people trying hard, enough people doing better analysis on these cards to sell them is where I'm literally just focused on the money. I also wanted to limit selling to a second channel. You might be saying, well, you have a website and you have a second channel called Run on the Bank. You're right, I do. And my opinion on that is that if you go to Run on the Bank, you understand that we're there for one thing and one thing only, to open an account and get money from a bank. They're not all referral links. Some of them are just direct offer links. It's not a problem. I will put the offer there, and I try to have rules in place that I will only plug the best offer I can find, but I try to limit selling over there because there's an expectation. So if you were to venture over there and you see a referral, like, well, yeah, but you know what we talk about here, right? That's the whole tagline is make the bank's money our money. So while it could be annoying, just don't go over there, right? Versus this is more content for everybody. Topics, you could say. In my mind, that's how it works. You may not agree, and feel free to let me know if you don't think that. Now, yes, at the end of the show, I definitely plug the website and things like that, and if it makes sense to mention the website, sure, but in my mind, that's why. So that's why I wanted the links. It didn't work out that way. Why? Well, if you've ever worked, in corporate, right? I remember years and years ago working at a bank and in the appraisal desk. And, we have vendors, appraisal management companies, AMCs, and we were still required to go once a year on site and audit them and do due diligence. So you can still have like a third party intermediary is where the AMC here is the intermediary. They collect their appraisers' licenses and things like that, but we're still required to do an audit ourselves. It's the same thing. So if I'm a bank, I'm not going to put that much resources into someone who just isn't bringing in enough money. So it kind of makes sense why the quotas are in place and things like that. It's another reason why you might see people pushing sales so much because they don't want to lose these links because they are tremendously valuable. So there you go. Now, I'm just going to go through in no particular order. Rules is a big one. So I did want to talk about the Discover thing. For whatever reason, this is my understanding of it. Discover does not want to be associated with churning in any way. So what happened is if you have a link to one of these programs, then you can't talk about Discover. And since Discover's not that interesting, Discover's been interesting now since Capital One bought them, but up to then, no one really cared about Discover anyways. You might mention them in their quarterly category video or something, but whatever. But that was the reason, because Discover didn't want to be associated to it all, which I find hilarious because, one, Discover's marketing team used to email me the categories ahead of time. I didn't get anything for it. They would just send an email and say, hey, agree to this embargo and you can have them and the blog post will be ready to go. And it's cool. It's just nice to be thought of. You know, it's easy enough. That's how news is generally shared, those press releases. But you know, they know who I am. They know what I do. They're sending it to other people. They're sending it to me. But then they're so terrified of being related to churning, and yet they have nothing to churn. Their Discover It cash offer is pretty good. Granted, you can get like $700-800 for a free product, but that was a Discover thing. So if you had mentioned Discover, then you have to take the link out of the video. So as a result, because Discover is not very interesting, people might not just mention Discover because I'd rather plug the link. It makes more sense. Another one I want to talk about is what you can and can't say. This is a big one I see. You guys are paid shills. You're only saying nice things about these products because of you're going to get paid. Well, I can only speak for me, but I was never told you can't. I was never told say nice things about blank bank or say nice things about American Express. You go through my back catalog, you know I don't always have the nicest things to say about American Express and their rotating coupons. Just don't care for them, anything like that. And no one ever said otherwise. They didn't say nice things. There was things you can and can't say, more so around messaging, right? That was the really big one. So a sign-up bonus doesn't exist. That's not a thing. No matter how many times we say sub, it's not a thing because you can't sign up for a card. You can apply for a card, go through underwriting, be approved for a card, and then if you complete the requirements, you will get an intro offer, but a sign-up bonus is not a thing. A sign-up bonus would be, hey, if you write your name on the sheet, I'll give you this iPad. You signed up for the group, here's the iPad. That's the difference. And so that's misrepresentation. So things like that, can't say. That's why you hear a lot of us say intro offer. What else? That was the big one. Learn more. For whatever reason, if you look at all the credit card pages, they all say learn more. You say learn more. You definitely had to have some kind of disclosures down below. I think I copied Ask Sebi's disclosure a while back just because, so I can say I had it, but had to have disclosures down below. The big one here was writing. So I do blog posts for the bank promotions, but if you write it out, if I was going to write a promotional post for the Chase Ink Cash, well, like I would say, we would say the Ink Cash or the CSR or CSP or something like that. Those don't exist. Those aren't real things, right? You have to say the whole thing. It's like a pimp named Slickback. Say the whole thing, you know, and that was really it. Even with the little TM or the R next to it, you had to say the whole thing, be very precise with what you're writing out. So I was like, I'm just not even going to bother writing a blog post. You guys can figure it out. That was a big one. I believe when Wells Fargo had built rewards, you weren't supposed to mention the 1 banana, 2 banana thing. That's dead now, obviously, but back then you weren't supposed to. But as far as opinions and things of that nature, never. Now, what I believe happens is a lot of these cards aren't very good. So if you take my video on the second channel, the Sapphire Reserve, for example, or the Sapphire Preferred, you know by now I'm like, it's meh at best, but do you want money? Because if you want money, then sign up for the card and keep it for a year, but whatever, you got the money. But that's fine. You know that, and I know that. But you're not, in my opinion, going to sell a lot of product saying that to fringe people. And the fringe people are the only ones left who don't have these cards. So those people do better for them. I would assume I'm going to give you some use cases. I'm going to give you a full analysis of the card without an opinion, and then you can decide if this is right for you or not. It's much like dealing with any other professional. If you ever, I don't know, bought a house or something, they generally stay away from your agent who's not going to tell you which one to buy. Even though that's what most people want, they're going to list out some pros and some cons for you, and then you can decide, hey, this school's, well, they're not supposed to tell you about schools, but for example, like, hey, this school sucks, this one's good, you decide, right? Well, if you don't have kids like me, then you might not care. The school I think is decent next to. I live next to a school, but you know, I don't have kids, so it doesn't matter. See, so you can see it as an example, right? They don't want to be blamed in any way or held responsible, so they just hold off on giving opinions. That's what I think you see a lot of, where you might be at home screaming, this card sucks, this card sucks. People are just like, it's not a review, I'm just not going to give an opinion. Now, the problem, what I've learned is from the second channel, is that YouTube is highly used for reviews and opinion pieces. And so even when I go on the second channel, and there's a lot of times we'll talk about credit unions, I'll have no idea what this credit union is based out of. And they'll just do the abbreviation, AAACU. I was like, I don't even know what that means. Don't care. I'm just here for the money. And someone will still comment, hey, nice review. Now, they mean well, but it does concern me a little bit because I don't want you to take this as an actual review because I know nothing about them. I only know what I need to know to get the money. And so, but that's not going to sell to a fringe person. Hence why that channel's got like 8,800 subscribers or something like that. It's very niche. And so people see opinion even though when they're not giving opinion, or we have opinions and we're watching them and we feel like we're burying the opinion to sell the card. Kind of up to you. I like opinions. I'm of the opinion you should have an opinion. It's a lot of opinions. You should have a strong opinions on TV make better TV. Now you can't have a strong opinion about every single thing we talk about. And you can tell in the Sunday shows, sometimes like the story's 90 seconds and we move on. Sometimes I talk for 4 minutes because I have an opinion. This is going to be a very long episode. Can you tell I have an opinion? As I'm sure many of you might have an opinion. Just my one man's opinion. Said opinion enough. We covered quotas. Again, I don't know everyone's quota. I don't even know the quota for the one I'm in now. I believe I'm saying 10 because that was what the last guy said. And I can imagine 10 being a decent number. 10 sales across all products. Money earned. It's just simply put, it's just easy money. I think I made $5,000 the year and a half I was there. And that's primarily having them on the website and doing some dedicated videos on the second channel. I've seen folks make significantly more money. I don't know how much each card paid. I did not get a list of saying this. I think it's dynamic depending on where the bounties are going to be at. I think the most money I ever made on a single sale was on an ink card. I think I got like $400, which if you think about it, look, I'll be the one to tell you, it's not really hard making these videos. It's work, but it's not hard work in the sense that if I told you, the viewer at home, to give me 5 minutes on a Chase Freedom card, you could do it. Now, you might struggle with, I don't even stare directly at the camera. I know it bothers some of you guys, but, you might struggle with that until you get the hang of it. And boy, did I. Again, some may say I still do. But you can, if I just like friend to friend, give me 5 minutes on it, you could do that. If your mom asked you, you could do that. Not that hard, see? So you can see why people like it. Another one I wanted to talk about here is talking about popular cards. Big one. You guys only talk about the popular cards because they pay. Yes, but also no. It's yes from the standpoint that the popular cards are going to be from Chase and American Express, and those are the affiliate programs that get pushed the most. I believe there are others, but they'll say from like major publications. Like I want to say like OMAT has Bank of America and City Cards and things like that. I don't think anyone on YouTube does. Those are just decisions made by those issuers to manage risk and things like that. But I want to say they have, they have those options available to them. So yes, but the problem is also, and I know this as someone who talks about cards that aren't popular, is if you talk about the AAA Daily Advantage, there's simply not that much interest in the AAA Daily Advantage or Travel Advantage on YouTube. It's popular in like My FICOs and corner of Reddits and things like that, but it's simply not a good YouTube topic. And so the decision becomes, I could talk about this AAA card, which is really, really good, but I'm not going to get a lot of views and there's no affiliate program. So is my time really better spent over there, or is my time better spent talking about this Chase card that's meh, but it's a Chase topic? It will probably grab in the casuals, some of the hardcores, and I could potentially get some sales. And that's partly the power of the audience, and we do this too in every niche. I'm trying to get better at this myself. Like I saw MKBHD make a video about, he's one of my favorite YouTubers. He made a video about some old Samsung phone, scrolling phone. I was like, I don't even know what this is. I don't even care. I was like, you know what? I should watch this because it's not an Apple phone or not a Samsung phone. It's something, well, it's a Samsung phone, but you know what I mean, right? And, because if I don't watch this, then all we're saying is, give me more Apple, and then eventually you're sick of hearing about Apple, right? So I agree with you. I do believe that the affiliate programs drive content decisioning. However, viewership also does. And I can tell you, as we finished the credit card tournament in March, and I pushed out about 6 weeks of videos dedicated to the tournament. It took like 3 or 4 days to get to 1,000 views on those. And so, like, it will take the channel analytics and money earnings about 2 months to recover from the tournament. And this isn't a complaint. I'm simply telling you, you can't push out 6 weeks of videos that the audience is saying, "Hey, no, thank you" to, and then think you're not going to. You think you're still going to make the same amount of money. It's a decision I choose to make, not because I'm a hero, but I want that on the channel. I want to have those videos for the hardest hardcore degenerates. So I do it. But, I also don't have any aspirations of making this a full-time job. This is a nice thing to do on the side, but if I was trying to make it full-time, I really probably shouldn't do that. So again, not a defense. I'm just giving you both sides of the argument there. So that's really the main ones I have. I think I only want to talk about 2 more pieces. I know we're going long here. The future of it, and like, does it ruin the game? So I think the run is over, honestly. I kind of do. I think if you got in early enough to be an early adopter, be the first one through the door, the hard part being the first one up the hills, you got to figure it out. But if you're the first one, you're usually the first, and you can take advantage of first mover's advantage. But now if we really look at the programs, on YouTube, it's Chase and American Express. You have Capital One, but if we really break this down, Capital One's not going to prove any of our core audience. Like, they're just not going to. This has always been a problem with them. And if I look at Chase, well, Chase has gotten significantly stricter. Now, the benefit of Chase, I will say, Chase will at least make the same offers available on both sides. They might give in-branch favoritism for a week or two. We've seen that before with the Sapphire Preferred. But then those offers, except for the Freedom Flex for whatever reason, that one they don't do, but they do, I think, with TPG, but nobody else. But then there's offer parity between their sales channels. But again, we've seen them adopt 524. We've seen them get inquiry sensitive, things like that. And then granted, they do pull levers on rules, but again, the core audience, it's getting pretty hard to find new people to buy these products, and so American Express is a little bit different in the sense that American Express keeps their best offers behind like incognito and targeted. The American Express doesn't even put their best offers on their own homepage. That's why the incognito search is such a big deal. But they've started doing dynamic offers where they say you could get up to $500, and once you punch in your information, they say, gotcha, we're only going to give you $200. We're going to give you nothing. And I don't know if that's spread to the affiliates, but I would imagine it does at some point. And for that reason, I think the thing in my mind is like, is it really worth being annoying to everyone, given what I would presume is going to be diminishing returns, and given that it's significantly harder to sell these things to your core people? When folks are nice enough to join my channel member Discord, I tell them, don't join if you think you're going to get a bunch of referrals from credit cards, because we all have the same cards. And I think that's growing, which the problem is you're going to have to keep talking to the wider audience and trying to sell these cards to other people. But here, at least, I think it's going to be diminishing returns. And I mean, at some point, like, who else is really left to sell to is kind of my thought, especially as these cards look to continue to punch up market. So I kind of think we missed the window on it, unfortunately, if you're not already a big affiliate mover. But I could be wrong. I'm just bad at it. Does it ruin the games? Last question, then what should we do, or my overall opinion? I don't think it ruins it, but I think it does water it down. And by the game, I mean like credit card, YouTube. So I don't think it ruins it, because there are commercials everywhere of everything. Like, everything is ad supported. YouTube would go away if it wasn't ad supported. Like, I don't know a single YouTuber I would pay a nickel to watch, but there's some I really like. I think it's more ads, right? It's more infomercials is the problem, is where my guess is that, you guys knew this show when it was just starting out, and it really sucked. Now it only marginally sucks, but you've got the YouTube ads, and then you've got this infomercial of a video about something you already have and already know about. It's something we might put out 2 or 3 times a year, depending on how often they push these links. So I do think it waters it down. I think it waters it down greatly to have product showcasings as opposed to reviews, opinion, and discussion and debate over these things. Now, I understand a lot of times we're debating pieces of plastic, and our debates are somewhat silly. Should the Sapphire Preferred do this, this, or this? Well, the answer is no, because Chase is the biggest bank in the country, and they're doing just fine, and they don't want my opinion. But that's boring. So if we just can all together suspend our disbelief of that for a little bit and just have the discussion, because what else do we have to talk about? That's at least a fun way to spend 15, 20 minutes, in this case, close to 30 minutes, with some fellow bankers, if you will. I think that is much more interesting, and so I think it waters it down as the best way to say it. But again, I don't know any place that's not watered down. So what can be done? Well, all that being said, I still say we should support each other, which I understand it sounds like I'm very negative on. And from a viewer standpoint, I am a little bit. But, I mean, the channel member Discord was founded with the idea that we should be trying to get as many people paid off of a transaction as possible, make the bank's money our money. And so I'm not anti-link. I don't begrudge those who still have their links and put their links in videos. I think they should continue to do that. And to some level, doing a product showcase is helpful, and because you want a balanced opinion. If I think it sucks, but well, I don't go that many places, or I don't travel the way other people travel, well then you should have other opinions on them, showcasings at least. So I think there's a time and place for it. And so I would simply say maybe continue to use links from people who annoy you the least. Some people are ridiculous with it. Other people are very tasteful with it. And I think that would be the way to go, way to support and keep the money in the community. I would like to see the issuers offer a little bit more, not so much in like special deals. Sometimes there's contracts and rules around that sort of thing, but if you're going to refresh the platinum card and you're going to know that, hey, we're going to have an influx of people pushing links, well, maybe not to me, but to top people, Sebbies of the world, have make your product team available for interviews or something about, like Apple. And yes, I know a lot of it's coming just PR speak, but when Apple has their big thing or Samsung has their big thing, they make their product team available to answer some questions and talk about the product. At least that's something. You're giving a little more than, oh, by the way, here's the card if you want it. I think you could do stuff like that. I think we could do a better job of plugging stuff tastefully, or plug stuff at the end of the video. I know not everyone watches the end of the video, but I think we could be a little bit better about it. But overall, I mean, I don't really begrudge anyone doing it. If I could get links again, would I do it? Yes, if I didn't have to hit sales quotas. If I could just put them on the website, leave them there, occasionally talk about them on the second channel, I would love to have them again. An extra $5,000 a year would go a really long way in this game for myself. If I could do more, even better. But yeah, I would get them again if I could, but I wouldn't do it. I just don't want to be pushy and sell. I think it's just been done and done better by a lot of folks. So anyways, again, there it is. Those are my thoughts on the biggest criticism of the game of credit card shilling. I hope you found this interesting. If you stuck around to the end, if you have further questions or discussion, drop them down below. I would absolutely love to get your thoughts on this one. Whether you're one of my colleagues, if you've watched this, or just a viewer of the show, or user of links, you let me know down below. But anyways, guys, that'll do for this one. So go if you liked it, drop me a thumbs up down below. If you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel. So we're posting content just like this every single week. And of course, right back here every single Sunday with all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. And of course, every single day over on ProfitableContent.com. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you very soon in the next one.